Mike Israetel is a friend of mine. He's not going to be like, "Oh, you're chummy with
Kirk.
Greg Doucette, my enemy." And I feel like at some point I'm going to get both of you guys together with
I've
me.
already said I welcome being on a podcast with you and
I
Mike. I'm
I don't
open
want
to
to
talking to
debate.
him.
Do you know not Mark Bell, but his brother, Chris Bell?
I
Why
remember
can't I
Mark
why
quite
can't
well,
I think of
but
him? Chris, he did Bigger, Faster, Stronger. I know him
I
very well.
watched the show.
He came to my house because he was in town. But in this interview, I feel like it was might have been like the best I've spoken like in any interview ever. And I thought really deeply about it. And I was like, this one time I saw a guy who was blatantly natural, very pretty athletic guy. And I just remember looking at him smile. And then like he saw his wife, gave her a hug, and then he had like his kid, and he was like, "Hey, don't do that." And he had just got done with a workout, and I saw him, and I've never been more motivated in my entire
Kirk.
life.
Wow, just from
I
that.
was
Yeah.
just from that. I was like, that, like it gives me the chills just thinking about it now. That guy has an understanding of fitness that is intrinsic. He has an understanding of mental fitness, of what actually makes him happy, the things that actually move, not maybe not even move the needle in like the terms of like we're so obsessed with progress. I mean, look at this shit, dude. I got no, it says no excuses, just improve. You see that?
Yeah, yeah.
Weightlifting for me was one more pound on the bar. I don't give a shit about anything else. And that was actually really healthy way for me to look at it. I never had a single goal, not one goal. I still to this day don't have goals. My idea is just improve.
It sounds
Okay.
like he moved you so much because you could see a lot of him in yourself, and it was kind of like a goal. Like maybe that's what you're aspiring to be. Like
For
what moves me
sure.
the most? Like
But what I'm saying is there was an evolution beyond no excuses, just improve that I'm kind of on right now. Because the idea of no excuses, just improve, you're gonna create stress just in the name of improvement.
yeah,
And I'll tell you right now, that's a slippery slope in itself, unless you have a grasp, unless you understand that. Because if you look at a guy like Alex Eubank, how the
Kirk.
he gonna improve?
yeah.
Got to take steroids to improve. And my thing is like, oh shit, when I saw that guy, he had like kind of visible abs. I would say he's probably like 15% or maybe less, like
Like
15 to
just
12.
super healthy. Yeah.
Just super healthy, smiling, great, like attractive wife, kids, like goes through problems, like probably went to bed at like 10:30, probably woke up at like 7:30, had a breakfast of like a bagel and a coffee.
An
And
important process is implementing gratitude in your life too, because if you can't be gracious or happy with what you've accomplished, then you're never going to be happy.
so my question to you though, Greg, is it possible to have that understanding as a male unless you go hard in some way? And the idea, I think, I'm beginning to think for my message to people out there is to go hard. Lose yourself in your training, become a little bit toxic, but do not make mistakes that you cannot be unmade. So if you are training naturally, I would urge you to train 7 days a week. I would urge you to overtrain. I would urge you to not sleep as much as you should be. And I would urge you to maybe mess with some relationships because they're getting in the way of your
Kirk.
gains. And then when you do learn your lesson, when you do see that guy that you want to be, you'll be okay. The problem is if you push that limit and you take trend and you take grams of steroids, that day when you have that real revelation, you've now made an unchangeable mistake in your life.
I think some people don't understand that there's more than one way to improve in your life. There's more than one way to get dopamine and to be a better man. And it's not just about the physical. There's physical, mental, social, spiritual. Anything in your life you can improve. I am beyond my capabilities. I'm 49. I can't get bigger and stronger and faster than when I'm setting records. So could I keep getting bigger? No, I tried. I kept upping the dose, took more and more tests, tren, all of it, and it worked for a while. But eventually you get to a point where you can't get any better. And so then you pivot. I couldn't get any better at bodybuilding, but I bet I could get better at cycling. So I got on my bike and I started improving at that. And not only that, I stopped watching TV. Like I literally don't watch TV. I have all these amazing TVs in the house. I don't watch them. I read books and I study a third language. Well, four if you count Gen Z. I'm speaking four languages: Spanish, Gen Z, English, and French. And so I'm progressing in all aspects of my life, and not just in reading, understanding, also in relationships, trying to have better friends, how to talk to friends, how to treat friends. And so I'm trying to get better with everything. And so whether you're trying to improve on your physique, your social ability, your skills, maybe your girlfriend, how to talk better to your partner, being a better father or wife or husband, there's so many things that can get better. And so why focus on just one? The body, it's 1 out of 4. You're focusing on 25%. And so when you said, go all out 7 days a week, maybe fail a relationship, I don't really believe that. I believe that, well, 100% is from all 4 factors. Try to maximize all of them.
Again, it's a working theory, Greg. I don't know. You do have to make mistakes to learn.
I made all the mistakes. So I'm coming from a guy at 49. When I was your age, I was blasting hella gear.
The thing is, like, you have to tell people to go make mistakes, but you have to be like, don't make the wrong ones.
Yeah.
That's my thesis. And maybe I said it in the wrong way. Like, messing up a relationship probably is not ideal, but maybe that wasn't the best example. But it's hard for me to say, relax, maybe
there's things you can't
undo. Fucking hard. Go hard. Go hard.
Yeah.
Then when you have that revelation, just don't be so far gone that you have these regrets.
Yeah, there's things you can't undo. Once you start taking steroids, you can't undo taking steroids. You can get married and get a divorce. You can't take tren and then be natty. So once it's something permanent that's just like, this is it, like you're going to take this steroid, that's forever. Like HRT's forever. You could say, oh, I'm going to stop it. That's a big difference. Girlfriends, they can come and go. Relationships, friends, all that can come and go. But using drugs, this is a big decision to make.
So, Pete Rubish?
Yes. I've competed with him in powerlifting way back.
Pete is probably one of my greatest influences in this entire sphere. I will say that right now. What he has done is one of the most amazing feats in this entire industry, and it has gone unsaid for far, far too long. This guy was on grams and grams of gear. We're talking about like the era of like Elite FTS. You remember Elite FTS era, like Testosterone Nation era, where we had powerlifters going hard, like changing the game, putting up like Dan Green. That guy.
I competed with Dan Green. I remember all these guys.
That guy did more gear. And these guys do crazy amounts of gear. And Pete Rubish was like, oh, this is what we do. This is how it works. And Pete Rubish went, and I'm pretty sure he's not taking anything.
Yeah, he went natural. He was on a lot of steroids. Yeah. He was deadlifting with the friggin' washer dryer in the background or whatever it was, and going crazy and screaming. He was like a kind of like a Larry Wheels of the time.
He obviously is hypogonadal currently, and he might never get his balls back. He might. I don't know enough. I haven't talked to him in a while. We did a podcast, and I just was like, dude, you're incredible. Like I can't, off the top of my head, I cannot think of another person who's doing what he's done or has, or is attempting, at least in the face of all that he's done. I don't know of another guy. I would say you're pretty motivational in the way that you're like, I'm obsessed with these bike races. I love cardio. I love reading. I love these things now. Like there are parts of this that like we can make a difference. There was a fuck ton of gear use, and there still is. But these Russians and even the East German team, a lot of these people died. They became very violent. They killed themselves. They had liver diseases. And this was back in the day when we didn't really keep track of these people. We just let them die. We just let them become shells of themselves.
Yeah. Speaking of these lifters, I was in China, and I think his name was Yao something. He's the 3-time gold medalist in Olympic lifting, had all these Chinese records. And me,
Liu Xiaozhen. Is it Liu Xiaozhen?
He gave me 2 sets of shoes and stuff because I'd made a natty or not. Like he had failed a drug test for EPO or whatever. Yep, and I made an natty or not and said, this is not what he would do. So I basically defended that he was natural. I argued that this guy was natural. And so in that country, they're like, what a great guy. This great guy is so great. And I made a video also saying in the United States, I don't believe that they're natural. On the swim team, they were having the blue face and everything. I argued they were taking different kinds of drugs to improve their ability to use oxygen and so on. And so he's sitting next to me, and I made a video on this guy. The guy is jacked, like maybe not my size, but pretty big. The guy sitting next to me was 150 pounds. He had no muscle. He looked like a basketball player. Maybe he looked like a bike rider, and not like me. And so I'm like, this is the guy I said was natural. And a year and a half ago, he had 25 pounds more muscle. And so I'm like, what happened? So I just thrown out there, like, are these guys actually natural? Like, I mean, I
No,
said he was, but how do you lose that much muscle?
so I looked at old videos, so my back squat was 510 pounds, like full depth, high bar. My deadlift was up to 660. I barely deadlifted 500 like a couple weeks ago. And mind you, I'm not training nearly as hard. My body type, this is actually a video that I kind of want to do. I was never a good I was always like athletic. So in the weight room, I could do well. And I think a lot of my strength coaches loved me for that. They were like, damn, dude, you don't look like you're that strong for what you're able to do. I've always been that guy. But I've never been the strong guy in the gym. Never.
Well, with
Never.
660, you must have been.
No, but I wasn't. I promise you.
You
So
were in
like
a
I was
really
always
hardcore gym then.
I was no,
Most
I was
gyms I
always
go to, it's like you
so
don't see that.
I was always good at deadlifting. The
Yeah.
first day that I deadlifted, I did 465 pounds. That was the first day that I
I
like kind of
sucked
learned
at
how
it.
to. So
Sucked.
but the squat for me was like I need to squat 3 times a week minimum, and I need to like really focus. And that's how I got 510 on the back squat. And when I stopped looking at the squat like that, like I'm going to do it once every couple of weeks, or maybe once a week or whatever, my squat immediately went down. Like to think about that being an RPE 8 where I was back squatting 510 is a massive difference. So for me, I'm not going to casually train and squat well. I have to go all out to squat well. So people might look at me and be like, "How are you natural?" Or like, "How are you losing so much strength?" I get that all the time. It's like because the place I had to take myself to have those numbers was a crazy place with my training. And I'm not there anymore. Whereas, like, maybe a shorter guy who's good at squats or whatever can kind of casually come into the gym and do 400 pounds.
I can tell you it's not the case. Like I was squatting about 600 pounds in Kabina. I was pulling 760 or so and benching 529 pause at 198. I can barely get 330 for a single now. I'm barely doing a 500-pound deadlift if I do it. And my squat, I believe, is 405. That's all
But
I can
people
do.
are, yeah, and people are going to point to that though, Greg, and be
And
like,
imagine how that feels to be me, knowing all these guys challenge me, Greg versus Will Tennyson, and I get made fun of. They beat you. I'm
yeah.
like, I don't care though. I've done what I need to do. I'm okay
And,
with it. I race bikes.
but my thing is like, there is obviously the gear that you were taking to do those numbers, right?
Even
And you're
natural,
nowhere.
I could bench press three. What I can do now, I can do at 20 years of age, weighing like 160.
Yes. So exactly. So I think we're actually agreeing on this here in that the places you were with just training alone are so vastly different than they are now.
I was way stronger natural than I am now as
Yes.
a teenager, really. Like, I
Yes.
mean,
Yes.
it's almost embarrassing, but it's like, I don't care. I don't need to do that. I don't get my self-worth from how much I can bench press in the gym versus I used to.
That's the slippery slope that we see with people is like they're going to the gym and they're improving. And they're like, this is awesome. I understand fitness. I understand getting stronger. They're on a one-track mind. So when they see their influencer also doing the same thing, they're like, oh, we're doing the same thing here. But if they see an influencer who's not as strong as they used to be, they go, wait a minute, something has to be up here. They must have been on gear and not on gear anymore or whatever. And they don't realize that like lifestyles change.
Yeah, if you're not doing what you used to do, like if when my brother takes like an easy period of time for like 6 weeks, his fitness levels drop by 15 to 20% on his FTP. And so the watch, he's like, Greg, if I was this fit, I would have won that race by a mile and I only finished in the middle of the pack. And it only takes a couple of weeks before you start noticing that. And so if you go off of training for a little bit, you're gone. Like I'm positive if I did a 2 month cycle of bench pressing, not a cycle of steroids, my bench press would be over 405, but I don't bench press. I do chest press machine because it hurts and stuff. And so if I were to train that, I could go up 100 pounds in a
But
couple
you
months.
understand how that doesn't translate to and I don't like saying normie
But
But
the
to
average person doesn't
it
know
doesn't
that.
they simply cannot comprehend anything going down ever.
I've raced professional bike riders back when I was younger, and I'm not a I'm just an average. Look at me. Do I look like a bike champion? I'm racing pro riders and I'm beating them because they took 3 months off. It's like you would think that they're just this fast, but like you take Lance Armstrong now compared to what he's not the Lance of old. These guys have lost a lot. Even Peter T, I was talking about, he could do 330 watts for an hour, and now he can do it for 5 minutes. And it's been 9 years. He still trains, but look at that regression. 5 minute power to 60 minutes. That is unreal. I'm like, I can't believe he was that fast.
So this is what fitness is all about. Is understanding progression and regression and not being scared. That is what it's all about.
Yeah, you can't always be at your peak. You have to have a down period and go back up. It's the same with powerlifting. I can't always bench press 529. It took me 12 weeks to get up to that level from a lower level of training, like a deload and whatnot. It's like you can't just be always that freak.
And if we circle back though to Alex Eubank, and we're using him as an example, I don't think that he's ever had a period where he's allowed that to occur. And
no, he claims he does. Oh yeah, I went on a bulk and I did this. Like, Alex, your body fat has been sub 15% in every picture of every video.
And bro, you're 24.
Every year straight.
I feel old, but at the same time, very young. And I know that you feel the same way. You're 49.
I feel 25, but I'm just old. But I feel in my heart, I feel like a teenage. Like I feel young, like not teenager, but 20s. Like when I hang around all the 20-year-olds, I feel like I'm all like you guys. I'm just older.
But I'm 34, hair. Bro. I'm 34. And I sometimes I feel like when I look at Alex Eubank, I'm like, oh my God, I'm ancient. I
feel like I'm them, but with wisdom. I feel like I'm you without making the stupid mistakes that you're making. That's how I feel.
Yes, exactly. I feel like we can wrap this up, but I do want to say this, Greg. I think it's been cool to watch your progression on YouTube. Mike Israetel is a friend of mine. He's not going to be like, oh, you're chummy with Greg Doucette, my enemy. And I feel like at some point, I'm going to get both of you guys together with me.
I've already said I welcome being on a podcast with you and Mike.
I don't want to debate
him. I don't need a debate. I just want to chat like this.
I think it could work. And honestly, I'll mention it to him. I'll talk to him. I think it'd be great to have a little round table like this with you two. I think it'd be fucking amazing.
Love to. I don't have any hard feelings about anyone. I make a lot of jokes about him, but because he sets me up with layups, it's like.
And that's what I love. That's what I love about you is like we can sit here, and I've made videos, been like, Greg's a idiot for saying this. You know what I mean? And it's like you look at that and you go, yeah, maybe I was a little idiot there. Maybe I wasn't. Maybe I disagree. But at the same time, we could still talk.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Do you know who John Bravo is?
Of course.
He's made so many negative videos about me. I chat with him all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
This is like, even though he said all these things, accused me of all these things, sniffing creatine when I'm down, all this stuff, and it's not true. And I'm like, well, it's in the past. Who cares? Like, here's a guy.
The problem though is like sometimes that can get a little bit like what the fuck? What's the guy? Nick
Trilogy, bodybuilding BS.
Yes, Nick.
Try Giley.
He's kind of like I understand that if I was to sit and chat with him, it would just be like the kind of a similar situation with this. But some of his videos, I'm like, what the fuck are you saying? Like
he pushes buttons on purpose for reaction, the same way that Togi is so polarizing in one way because he knows it gets views. You need to have lovers and haters of your channel in order to truly grow. If everyone loves you, you're not doing anything but saying what everyone wants you to say. Yeah. I have very polarizing personality. You're going to see in the comment section a bunch of people saying I'm a complete douchebag, snake oil salesman, asshole. But in reality, I don't see that in the real way. When I talk to people, I don't get that in person. Like, I don't feel that's the impression I give. But in the comment section, why is Greg Doucette the most hated fitness influencer? I don't think that I am. I read it. I appreciate that people think that because it's only helping me that much more.
All right, Greg. Well, this has been fucking fantastic. I guess we say goodbye to YouTube now.
All right. So until next time, I am out.